All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to today's Tackle Talk. That's what I'm going to start calling these from now on. Tips, tricks, everything like that included. But as far as today's Tackle Talk goes, I want to discuss a lure category that isn't thrown a whole lot up here in the North Country. And it's great for fishing up here, but it's more so affiliated with your Ozark-style fisheries. And that's where you hear this bait come into play more often. And with that said, the category I want to talk about is mid-depth cranking. Now, medium diving crankbaits, mid-depth cranking, that's all relative to where you are in the country. Now, for those of you who fish the Ozarks, you guys have hundreds of feet of water. So your mid-depth can be 10 to 20 foot versus up here in the north, our lakes only have 10 to 20 foot at the deepest for the most part. So it's all relative to where you are in the country. Now, I travel a lot and fish a bunch of new bodies of water a lot. And with that said, 5 to 12 foot diving crankbaits, anywhere in between there, I feel like I can take anywhere in the country and do about 90% of your mid-depth cranking. So, with that said, this is my absolute Achilles heel when it comes to spending money in fishing. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars on crankbaits in general, but especially your mid-depth diving crankbaits because of whatever reason, I'm just infatuated with them. I think they're really cool. They're all different and unique in their own ways. For example, this is the 3700 size deep Plano Box. I have 4 of these now, full of just medium diving crankbaits that go 5 to 12 foot in between. Half of them are restocks for this box, which, like I said, this is the one that I travel around with. Half of them are just restocking crankbaits if I break them off, whatever. The other half are baits that I either haven't found a really good place for yet or a right time to use them, but they look good. And then the other 25% of that half is garbage. Crankbaits I wish I never bought, that suck, that don't work. And I am going to take a shot at one bait here, and that is the Berkley Fritz side. Now, if you guys like that bait, keep throwing it, whatever. Me, hate it. I don't catch them on it. I have given it so many chances and just never caught them good on it. I mean, I know 5 other guys that I've talked to that I can think of off the top of my head that have thrown it that aren't sponsored by Berkley at all. And they're like, meh, it's whatever. I don't like it really that much either. So I think that bait is very, very overrated, and it's pushed out crazily, like just crazy heavy in the industry. But hey, what do I know? Maybe some of you guys love that bait and have figured out how to catch them on it. I have not. So I'll end my little rant here at that. But with that said, I'll show you guys what I got in here. It is a hodgepodge of all different brands, bait types. You name it, I got it probably in here. Strike King, Rapala, Bomber, Spro. I mean, dude, just all kinds of stuff. Now, when it comes to my cranking, I label them by depth. So if you look, I have like 12 minus, I don't know if you guys can see that, 12 minus, 10 minus, 9 minus, and then 6 minus. So what that minus means is below. So like for my 12 foot category, I'll throw that crankbait in 12 foot at the most, and then like minus. So like 2 foot below 12. So like 10 foot. I'll throw that 12 foot diving crankbait in 10 foot. The reason for that is because I can maintain bottom contact with that bait no matter what. So I highly recommend going, and if you're going to purchase some crankbaits, buy baits that dive 1 to 2 foot deeper than the water you are fishing. Why that is because you will maintain bottom contact a lot longer and stay in the strike zone more. With that said, those of you who fish crankbaits, you know if you're not banging that thing against something or hitting it on dock posts or ripping it through grass or whatever you're doing with it, if you're not hitting something or making contact to make that bait deflect, you're not getting bit. You can even just be reeling it and stop it, and that's a change in that bait. So highly, highly recommend getting one that dives a little deeper so you maintain bottom contact and get that deflection or movement out of your bait. Now, I'm going to go in and show you 2 baits in each one of these categories that I would choose if I was just starting out and picking up some mid-depth crankbaits. I'm going to give you a cheaper option in each one and a little bit more expensive one, not necessarily crazy expensive, but starting off, I'm going to show you my number 1 deeper diving in that 12 foot minus. This is a Spro rock crawler. a phenomenal fish catching bait. I can't tell you how many bass I have caught on a rock crawler. Gin clear water, dirty water, hot water, cold water. This is probably in my top 3 best and most favorite crankbaits out there. So go pick you up a rock crawler. This is the bigger one. I think it's a 65. Whatever the bigger one is, it dives from 9 to 14 feet, but I don't throw it in more than 12. So I'm actually going to go buy a ton of the little ones as well. Probably spend like $200 or something after this video on those baits, because everybody's telling me I'm crazy for not throwing them. But Spro rock crawler, number 1. I think you gotta have it. Now, the second one I'm going to talk about is kind of a little bit of a sleeper bait. This is a Strike King 3XD. And the reason that I like this bait is because it is a lot smaller profile than like 90% of your medium to deeper medium diving crankbaits out there. Now this bait will go about 10 to 11 feet, but it's a tiny little profile. And if you guys know, the more compact you keep your stuff, the more bites you're gonna get, especially up here. Down south, yeah, you guys probably throw a little bit bigger stuff just because your bait's bigger. Up here, that's a killer bait that's not talked about. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's cheaper. It's not very expensive, not gonna hurt your wallet. So going to that 10 minus category, the baits that I throw in 10, 9, and about 8 foot of water, starting off your Strike King Series 5, not your 5XD, not your super deep 15 foot diving version, your Series 5. This is one that I will throw in about 10 foot to 9 foot. And it's the same size as a Series or as a 5XD. So when you go to pick this out, be careful and read the package. If you're going to pick them up somewhere, make sure it's a Series 5. Otherwise, you're going to be dredging the bottom, and that's not what you want for most of your fishing. So Series 5, great crankbait. Another Strike King one, not going to hurt the wallet, fairly cheap, inexpensive bait. Now, this is probably one of the most fish catching lineups out there, and this is in that 10 minus category, a little bit more expensive. Your DT10. Now, you cannot argue with the results of the DT lineup. It's probably the best lineup out there, maybe other than the Strike King series crankbaits. They're like neck and neck, but man, you can't beat the DT series. This is a 10XD. Great bait. Not very durable though. Kind of a bummer. I wish they could figure out a way to put a circuit board lip in the DT series, and dude, that would be absolutely killer. But that is my number 2, more expensive. Go pick you up some of these. They're gonna catch fish. They just do. So moving on to my 9 minus category, my favorite mid-depth crankbait has got to be the Spro Little John MD. Very compact size, but not too little. It's like an in-between of a normal standard size crankbait and your baby guy. It's right there in that middle. So really awesome profile. But the reason that I like this crankbait so much is because of the way it moves in the water. It's not your super wide hunting, wiggling crankbait out there, but it's more of a swimming hunting action, like almost like snaking through the water in a sense, but a very unique action nonetheless, and one that I highly recommend you guys pick up and try. This color is Cellmate. I don't know if you guys can pick this up, but it's a white-sided blueback shad imitator, and it's got a weird matte chartreuse hue to it, but not like overly aggressive. So really good color there. The second one, that's a little bit more of an expensive bait, I will say. The second one, not a very expensive bait at all anymore, and that's your new Wiggle Wart. I've got a ton of pre-Rapalas in there, and they are expensive, but these ones are not very expensive. These are the new Wiggle Warts from Storm, and I haven't really noticed a difference. I know guys will be like, it's not like the old one. It's very similar. Maybe a little different as far as the rattle and the sound goes, but the hunting action, really good on these baits, surprisingly. So with that said, go pick you up some of these. Hot water, cold water, great bait. Yeah, it just works in a variety of conditions and not very expensive. So go pick those up. The last category I want to talk about is the 6 minus. Now this is a newer bait to the market, not brand new, but a killer nonetheless, and this is the OG Slim 6. Awesome, awesome bait. Had a ton of success on this year. A very interesting design though, just because it's a flat-sided balsa bait. It's not your traditional flat-sided balsa bait action. It's between the wide wobble of a square bill and more than your traditional flat side. So less than a square bill, more than your flat side. It lands in the middle somewhere. Very, very unique action to this bait as well. Highly recommend picking some of those up. Hooks though, little beefy for being a flat-sided bait. If you're throwing this on 15 to 14 pound tests, which I do regularly, you'll be okay with those hooks. But if you step down to 10 or 12, change the hooks out. Go to a lighter wire hook. You're going to land a lot more fish. So the last bait is one that I already talked about, but in a different size. That being the Rapala DT6. I think that this bait has probably won the most money as far as crankbaits go out there. I could be wrong, but this is probably the most money-winning bait as far as medium diving crankbaits go out there. Now this is the Rapala DT6 in Ike's Demon, really good pre-spawn color. I actually doctored that one up. You can see I suspended this one a little bit, so it'll go down there, swim, and when you stop it, this crankbait will just barely float, just barely, pretty much suspend. So cool little tip there for you guys. I mean, if you want to see a video on that, I'll make one on that. Just some lead stripping, some super glue, and nail polish. But yeah, if you guys want to see that, drop a comment, let me know. As far as hooks go for these baits, I don't really replace the hooks all that much in practice. I will 100%, I don't care what bait it is, replace the hooks before a tournament. And with that said, I won't throw any EWGs. You won't find any EWGs in this box at all. This is the hook box that I typically carry. And there's not a single EWG in there because I know guys are like, well, if they're really eating a crankbait good, that EWG holds them better. I haven't found that to be true. I haven't found that to be false. All I know is that the round bend has a bigger bite gap, and that is a fact. So even if they're eating it better, they're going to get hooked better with that larger hook gap. So I don't know what everybody's reasoning is behind what they do. Regardless, I have not lost a crankbait fish in quite a while. I think I have my system fairly solid. And with that said, I will go into the rod that I use. So, as far as rods go, you guys know I like St. Croix. I like Mojo Bass. A lot of guys don't. I don't care. I think they're phenomenal for the price. This is the Mojo Bass 7'4" medium power glass crankbait rod. Now, this is the old version. You can't get it anymore. But with that said, very, very durable rods. I've had this one since high school, and I'm 24 now. So this is an old crank and stick, but a phenomenal one nonetheless. They have a new version of this, which I have, and it's even better than this one is. So go pick you up the new one. It's phenomenal. As far as reel goes, I like Lou's reels, a BB1 Pro, phenomenal reel in your 6-whatever-to-1 gear ratio, 6-1-to-1, 6-4-to-1, it don't matter. Just pick you up something in that 6 range because you can speed it up or slow it down just depending on what you want to do and not have to crank your reel handle a bunch or barely creep it. So that is the reel that I like to use and the rod. As far as my line goes, I like Sunline Sniper. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but like I said in my past videos, fluorocarbon is what you pay for it. It's just, you're going to get what you pay for is what I'm trying to say. Your 10, 12, sometimes 14. 12 is what I throw a majority of the time. If I need to get that bait deeper and down a little longer, 10. If I'm fishing around some gnarlier stuff, some chunkier, hard rock, 14. But 12 is a good all-around size. So with that said, if you guys like this video, drop a comment, subscribe, like. I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.